All right, this story is going to have you punch your screen, okay? Because first of all, it has to deal with Luigi. And it has to deal with Luigi charges, test New York anti-terrorism laws. But before we pull that up here, I think it's important that we remember why people are going to be talking about this case. And I want to pull up this video here from Case Study QB. This will cause you to get angry. This will cause you to get upset. Cancer patients battle insurance denials. Now, all of you in my viewing audience have shared very heartwarming and heartbreaking stories of your family members struggling, talking about the healthcare insurance industry, how your families pulled together, and also the nightmare of the bills and also being denied insurance. So I will keep my pausing here to a minimum, and I will make sure that the onion cutting ninja is nowhere near me. But I'm going to get angry, and so should you.
We're back now with the battle against insurance companies and the difficult choices cancer patients are finding themselves facing, even with a doctor's note. Here's NBC's Stephanie Gosk.
Kay Sue has been battling cancer for nearly a decade. One of the hardest moments was in 2018. The cancer returned, stage 4, metastatic.
Did it feel like a death sentence in that moment?
Absolutely. And it still does. It's almost like being on death row and just waiting. All of my off-label drugs.
Remarkably, she was able to battle the cancer back, but her oncologist said it could return again, and PET scans were key to detecting it.
How often do you have to get the PET scans?
It should be 4 to 5 months.
A schedule she followed until her private health insurance changed to Cigna. And she says the company wouldn't pay for the screening.
They thought it was not medically necessary.
Does your oncologist think it's medically necessary?
Yes.
So does Dr. Ashley Summerall from the American Society of Clinical Oncology.
PET scans are all part of accepted guidelines. That means that multiple experts agree that a PET scan is appropriate.
But Cigna refused to pay for the scans, which can cost $10,000 to $15,000 each. Sue's doctor appealed and was denied. With the delay in her screening, Sue worried the cancer would return. Angela Pike understands that struggle well. Her husband, Tracy, was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer in 2023.
He was so sick, he went from a 250-pound man to about 130 pounds.
Show of hands. How many of you say you could relate to this story? Show of hands. How many of you can say I've been through that? Show of hands. How many of you know of someone who's going through this too? Richest country in the world. We can't take care of our people. I may never know these people right here in this video. But you know what? That's all of us. One bad day. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the Luigi case. But I understand why people are angry and why people have lionized Luigi. I get it. But it's more than just one person. This isn't about Luigi, and it's not even about that healthcare CEO. This is about a growing rage in this country when people do the right thing every day, all the time. And then they have to have a conversation with their family or with a loved one saying, I can't save you. Tell me again why our politicians deserve gold-plated health care.
Tracy's doctors in Louisville ran out of strategies to help him. They said he needed HIPEC surgery, a kind of chemotherapy that a cancer center in Houston agreed to perform.
It was about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, the night before the surgery, where we got a phone call from the surgeon himself that the insurance had actually denied the surgery.
In the denial letter, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois said HIPEC was experimental. But here's what the American Society of Clinical Oncology says.
HIPEC is no longer considered experimental. It has crossed the threshold into widely available treatment.
But not for the Pike family, whose surgeon appealed, only to be denied. At one point, the mother of 3 took to TikTok with her guitar.
Hold on. Sorry, I have to apologize. I have to fast forward the copyright music. Sorry, folks.
price tag on my husband's life, and they decided he wasn't worth 42 grand.
How desperate did you feel in those moments?
It doesn't get more desperate than opening up your guitar case and standing in front of a hospital in 100-degree weather in Houston.
He never got the treatment. Instead, his cancer spread. And roughly a year after his diagnosis, Tracy Pike died at the age of 46. Are you left wondering what would have happened if he had gotten that procedure?
There are definitely a lot of days where I've thought about that.
In a 2022 survey, clinical oncology professionals were asked about the effect health insurance authorization had on patient care. 87% said they resulted in denials of therapy. 80% said they resulted in disease progression. 36% said they resulted in patient death. Blue Cross and Blue...
A controversial statement here. I don't like these numbers. Maybe I'm just going to be idealistic here. But how many times did Heartland's Media talk about the need for Medicare for all since 2017? How many times have we talked about how people are suffering from medical bankruptcy and what's doing to families? I remember Force to Vote. Boy, Jimmy Dore, you hit the nail on the head with that one, man. But see, even it wasn't Jimmy Dore's idea. That was from DSA's playbook. Hey, DSA, why aren't you using it? It's in your playbook. It's right there. Don't act like you don't see it. Where you at? I mean, you had Matt Gaetz, of all people, prove that the Force to Vote strategy actually frickin' works. And see, I'm not angry at Matt Gaetz. All right, there. Hey, proved it works. Hey, AOC, the squad. You're gonna do anything? Hey, Bernie Sanders. Now that the Orange Boogeyman's in, I guess we're gonna see some action. And by the way, to all the activists who are going to be protesting against Trump, I'm looking forward to seeing your fantastic parades in front of Trump Tower. So good to see all of you again.
Blue Shield of Illinois, Pike's insurance company, declined to comment on her husband's case, adding, "We are committed to increasing access to safe, appropriate, and effective health care based on the best available information and research."
And people wonder why they're so angry at insurance companies. John Michael, you tipped $4.99. The other questions that are needed to be asked is why these treatments cost so much? $15,000 for $20,000 for a scan. It's because, my friends, don't get angry, but we're numbers on a piece of paper.
Sue's insurer, Cigna, tells NBC News, "We strive to do our best to ensure that each person gets the appropriate care as quickly and easily as possible. We fell short for Miss Sue." Cigna contacted
they fell short. They fell short.
Sue after NBC News reached out to the company for comment on our story. Sue did ultimately get that PET scan this fall, she says, but only after her employer paid for it out of pocket.
Your health is in the hands of an insurance company. Do you feel like they care about your well-being?
No, I don't think.
No, they don't. Now, I want to read something here. I read this during Chanda's, Trailer Park Pundit's live stream for her cancer treatment, because we're going to switch things up to Luigi, who's going to be front and center, because this is going to be bigger than Luigi here, folks. This is about all of us. All the while, Scam Likely is calling me on the phone. Hi, Scam Likely. This is a poem I read. It's from a person named Richie Rich 77. They tweeted out, "My sister is bravely battling breast cancer and asked me to write a poem for her about it. I didn't write this. This is from them. So I think it's only fair that I at least pull up this tweet. And I'm going to do my best to not let the onion cutting ninja work his magic." It's titled, "I Am Strong." Under this harsh light, I can't hear their words, but their mouths are just moving, everything blurred. And then it goes silent in my head, and that's when I realize you found me again. You've been here before. I remember you well. I remember your taste and your touch and your smell. You left here defeated. No lesson you've learned, for here you are once more. You're here, you returned. You're an unwelcome guest that I'm keeping at bay. I'm not tortured nor battered by your games you may play. You may think you're stronger. You may think you'll win. Your battle is weak. In this war, I will win. So maybe you'll change me, the way that I look, but you won't make me weak from the things that you took. With every attack that you may throw my way, I will just come back stronger. Let's play it my way. You've taken away things so precious to me. You're hurting my family. Just let us be. You're weak and you sneak up on people. How low? That's the best you can do. Then you may as well go. When this is all over, when you have been banished, when all that you threw in my life has since vanished, when you have relented with no single trace, it will be the last time I look in your face. All right. Medicare for all. Now, it should not have come to this, to where it led to this court case, as well as a murder. Let's be clear on that. But how many people do we know that have suffered because of the health insurance industry denying health care? So let's play up this video here. Again, shout out to Case Study QB.
New York is putting its anti-terrorism laws to a new test with Luigi Mangione. Mangione, who is accused of killing United Health CEO Brian Thompson, will face a terrorism charge in addition to 19 additional federal and state charges. Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg defended the move, arguing Mangione's actions were meant to send a message to the public and, quote, sow fear. For more, I want to bring in former New York prosecutor and civil rights attorney Charles Coleman Jr. Charles, good to see you, my friend. Explain these anti-terrorism charges. What does this mean for Mangione?
So, I mean, what Alvin Bragg's office is essentially suggesting is that by doing what Mangione is accused of doing, basically murdering this CEO of this healthcare company, that he was intending to send a larger message throughout the entire healthcare industry and ultimately to provoke different policies from the terror or from the violence that he inflicted throughout that entire industry. It's something that I do believe is a reach for the prosecution. Is something that I do think is intended to send a message to potential jurors and to the public about how they process his actions and how they think about it. And I do think that it's going to be a high burden for the prosecution to establish.
Do you think it was wise or even necessary for Bragg to bring anti-terrorism charges?
I don't know that I would use either of those words to describe it, Eamon, wise nor necessary. I think it's quite, in fact, very ambitious and very creative in terms of the application of that particular law and statute to the facts of this case. And again, I don't know how well it's going to hold up. But one of the things that I have been thinking about is the need to shift the perspective, because we've seen a very high number, albeit a minority.
You know, I understand that everyone, this is an emotional story, but here's why I love the chat. All right, live stream chat. We're just gonna line up the moment here, but you guys, at a drop of a hat, heart-wrenching stories of strength and survival, and then boom, and a switch, pure comedic gold. And yes, this trial with Luigi is going to be a front and center thing. I think these charges, especially with the terrorism charges against Luigi, that's going to be very interesting to see. But first of all, Rebecca Freeman, what is going on with that sweater? Lex Marie, prettiest Christmas sweater I've ever seen. What is he wearing? Lady Alex, ugly sweater alert. Mouse F, that's a crazy sweater. Why is he wearing his grandma's couch? LOL. All right. Mastermind Hour, that whole outfit is a psyop. Where did you people learn to talk like this? We learned it from watching you, Kit. We learned it from Hard Lens Media. No, seriously, what the F is up with that sweater? Hold on. What is going on with that sweater, okay? Torwind. Looks like some really ugly 70s wallpaper. Seriously, I'm just saying, folks. You know, I read a heart-wrenching poem. We go through a video of people being denied healthcare, and then we bring up more BS DNC crap. You guys bringing up the ugly sweater. This is why I have the factual, correct statement in 3, 2, 1. Hard Lens Media has the best audience, period. No debate, no conversation about it.
A high number of people who actually approved of Mangione's actions because of their experiences with the healthcare industry. So when you're talking about us in upwards of, in some cases, 41% of people who have been surveyed who actually approved of Mangione's actions, you have to think about, how do I recondition the jury pool? How do I get them to think differently about this case in such a way that I have a chance at trial of a conviction and can avoid the potential of a hung jury or a mistrial?
Yeah, and we saw this. There's an interesting parallel conversation that's taking place here, Charles. This week, you got President-elect Donald Trump saying he will direct the Justice Department to vigorously pursue the death penalty. And that was his promise coming just days after President Biden communicated dissent.
Hold on. Is he wearing a tie? Oh, my God, he is. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. All right. He's wearing a tie. Well done, Mastermind. You caught it.
And that was his promise coming just days after President Biden communicated the sentences of most on the federal death row. What do you make of this, given the fact that Mangione's charges now have been up to include terrorism, which carry the death penalty?
Well, it's important for viewers to understand that in New York, the death penalty does not exist. So the only arena, if you will, that Mangione would be facing death penalty charges is in respect to his federal case. Now, with respect to what the incoming president has started to talk about, you have ideas, you have plans, you have concepts, and then you just have somebody who's talking. And I won't bother to tell you exactly what Donald Trump is doing in that regard, but I can tell you it's not any of the first three. The idea that you will now try and go after the death penalty for people whose sentences have been commuted by the current president is just absurd, and it's not something that's going to happen. There's no legal strategy. There's no legal pathway to get there. And so, again, this is just someone who's talking. And with respect to Mangione, I don't necessarily know that they're going to get to the place of capital punishment with him, but I
John Michael, $4.99. Get up and go see the White House counselor right now. Go.
would expect that a conviction, if they can secure one, would absolutely mean life in prison.
Could Trump's public comments on both the death penalty and the Mangione case have any impact on the trial, particularly with jury selection?
Well, we've already seen his attorney begin to argue, Eamon, for the notion of an unduly prejudiced trial against her client. And I do think that that is a smart move in order to sort of contain the amount of information that gets out there about the trial, about the accusations, and about the evidence that is being shared. I do think that at the end of the day, the president of the United States, or the incoming president, has such an unfettered access to the bully pulpit. And as we've seen, Donald Trump has no problem putting his thumb on the scale. So when it comes to public opinion, you have to assume that someone who's going to be on that jury is going to hear these comments, is going to think about these comments, and it in fact could prejudice the defendant in this way that would prevent him from having a fair trial.
Yes. So here's what we can say, because let's face it, Donald Trump, you didn't do yourself any favors that you could pop someone on Fifth Avenue and get away with it, because now here we are seeing Trump weighing in on this trial. But what Trump needs to realize is that, Americans in general, across the spectrum, the political spectrum, no matter what generation, the color of skin, or who they worship, no matter what state they live in, small town or big city, all of them have a story that's horrifically similar. The health insurance companies denying them or their family health care. And it's more than they realize. I think these politicians have either lied to themselves or truly do believe that there isn't a problem, all the while the ship is starting to sink. Healthcare in the United States is one of the leading causes of bankruptcy, okay? Reason why people lose everything is because of one bad day. One bad day and they lose everything. One bad day and it's all gone. Do they realize what's outside their ivory tower? And the answer is no. It's going to be bigger than Luigi. And Trump and his team, as well as every single politician at the federal and state level, are going to understand just how hurt a lot of people are. But see, the thing is, they won't acknowledge people's actions unless people start actively getting involved. Start actually making your voices heard. And I get that people are burnt out by electoral politics, but it is inexcusable for us just to lie down. I mean, do you see the action here? And there's a couple of ways in which we could fight. One of them is through citizen ballot initiatives. We're not going to get Medicare for all at the federal level. Many great groups tried to do it, and they have failed. I'm sorry. Even Bernie Sanders isn't going to do it. Biden, through executive order, could have done it. He was never going to do that. I mean, come on. That is very clear. It's through the state level now.
In all of your years of experience practicing law and tracking the criminal system, have you ever seen so many perp walks and photo shoots of a suspect like you have seen with Mangione? Has this taken on a media life of its own and a public interest life?
That's a dumb question. The answer is yes.
Of its own. I've never seen anything like this, certainly from an NYPD perspective.
I've never seen anything like it, and I'm very concerned that for the interest of the prosecution and the interest of justice, this could be something that comes back to bite them. Ultimately, you're talking about images that have been plastered of this man everywhere that undoubtedly are prejudicial in as much as they show him in handcuffs, they show him in essentially the orange jumpsuit when he's being transported and extradited from Pennsylvania. And so all of these images could come back as a problem for the prosecution with respect to what evidence they are going to be able to present in front of a jury in order to keep the trial impartial. I've never seen anything like this, and quite frankly, it sends a very poor message to the public about how we are prioritizing different things with respect to criminal justice in America.
No. Here's where mainstream media gets it wrong. See, mainstream media wants to turn Luigi into this bad guy, right? But see, the thing is, there's a good portion of his population that would view him as a hero. I played a video where there was a person who knew the healthcare CEO. He was a client of his. Looked like he came from a well-to-do background, had a nice job and everything, and said these exact words. I don't agree with what happened, but I understand it. And his girlfriend, she was like, yeah. She was quick. That's what I call a ride or die kind of girl, right? She's like, yeah, no, I understand. Like, yeah. She's like, yeah. And she smiled about it too. It's more than just Luigi and what happened. It's more than what happened. This is about a growing rage. Healthcare is denied to millions of Americans. Life-saving treatments denied to millions of Americans. I want to read one final statement here. It's on Rockfin. It's from one of my viewers. And I'm sorry this happened. Jenny Tufnell. Happened to my husband, but he survived, thank God. When people join the military, they should ask if this is what they are fighting to protect. I am sorry. And Jenny Tufnell says, beautiful poem, made me cry. We shouldn't have to suffer like this in the richest country in the world. Richest country in the world, we can't take care of our people. To our politicians, I'm giving you advice here, all right? You have a window of opportunity to do something productive, to do something good. And I know this is going to fall on deaf ears, but the American people are tired. They're angry. Do your job for once. Medicare for all.